All right, so I posted a video on my YouTube earlier because I thought, like, I was excited about what I thought happened over the weekend. And then I went on about my day, and as I was driving, God just began to show me there's more, Tara. In fact, in that video, I even said, oh, maybe I should have read that to see what it was talking about before I made this video, and I did not do that. So if you watched the previous video, this will be part 2. If you did not watch the previous video and you want to watch it for the beginning part, because I did share something at the beginning that I'm not going to share here, then that's fine. You can watch it. But what I want to get into is the cloud that I was talking about. Okay, so when I went to women's retreat this weekend, like I said, it looked different. I've been going for the past 10 years, and typically when I go, I stay in a hotel and I just maximize the time with Jesus. I get up there early before retreat starts, and I spend time in the hotel room reading, worshiping, praying, journaling, sometimes going through my journals and looking at what has God been speaking to me over the past, yada, yada, however long I've had this journal. Or sometimes he highlights a specific journal. I have one back here actually that has something in it that I am, oh, y'all just seen my mess in the corner, super believing for. And have been believing for several years. And so sometimes he highlights a journal that he wants me to bring with me, and I go back through and I reread some prayers, and it just it strengthens my faith. Anyways, not the point. Let me get to the point. Y'all know I do that sometimes. So the point is, this year looked different. So in order to maximize my time with the Lord, I left early and I went to a park in Lexington, a park that I typically go to when I'm at this retreat because it's right around the corner from the church. And I walk and I talk to the Lord, and I've encountered God there many times. And so when I went up there this year, I took my journal with me, and before I started walking, I wrote in my journal in the car. I was sitting in the park at the car, and in the car, and I was just writing in my journal, and I wrote, today's the first day of KYAG Women's Retreat. I'm not staying in a hotel this year, and I kind of went through some of the details. And then I said, God seems to always speak to me here. Speaking of the retreat, because I really, I had considered not going because I wasn't going to be able to be at all the services, and also I couldn't justify spending the money for a hotel this year, and so I was going to be driving back and forth, which is not a horrible drive, but right. Anyways, this is what was going on, and so I'm writing to the Lord about this, and then I say, I talk about how I'm going to go take a short walk and pray. And I'm looking forward to all that you have for me this weekend. And I want to extend that as much as possible. Maybe, just maybe, you'll start right now revealing yourself to me, So, if you don't have a relationship with the Lord, I pray that you continue to listen. I know that it sounds weird if you don't have a relationship with the Lord to hear somebody talk about it. I was that person once. So if you're tempted to go away from this right now because you're like, she's talking to Jesus and she expects Jesus to talk to her, that's weird, please hang on. Please hang on, because I was you once, and God showed me that he is real, that he is really listening, and that he is really responding. So I go for this walk, and I'm walking, and I'm praying. And the entire time I'm praying over specific things, things that I've been praying about already for a while. I'm praying about a heart for revival. I've been praying for revival for several years. So I'm praying that our hearts are prepared for revival. I'm praying that God's able to find good soil in our hearts for this weekend that we're going to be at the retreat to speak to us, to have seeds that have already been planted starting to grow. Like I'm praying prayers. I start praying for people that I know that need salvation, specifically my children, my family members that are away from the Lord, or friends that are away from the Lord. I pray for them. I pray for their salvation, and I'm continuing. And this heaviness I've been carrying around a lot lately, and so I was praying for joy. Take this heaviness off and let this be a weekend of joy. And just so many things that were heavy on my heart, and I was just giving them up to the Lord. But I was also being reminded as I was praying, which is a lot of the reason. I think I shared a video on this before. Sometimes it's hard to pray because it reminds us of the discouragements in our life. When we're praying for somebody's salvation, we're reminded that they're not saved. When we're praying for somebody's healing, we're being reminded that they're sick. And so sometimes praying is hard because it does remind you of those things. And so maybe that's where the heaviness was coming. I'm not really sure, but I was praying and walking, and I got all the way around the park and was getting ready to head back to the car, and I just kind of stopped. Something caught my attention. I glanced up, I glanced up and there's these huge white clouds everywhere. They're beautiful. And right in the middle of them, right above where I was looking, like all these huge white clouds, there's this tiny little gray cloud mixed in the middle of it. And I just stood there, just kind of captivated by, what is this? Why is there one little teeny rain cloud, in the middle of all these huge, giant, big, fluffy clouds everywhere? And I paused. It felt like for a long time, just staring at the sky, like, God, are you going to speak to me through the cloud? Okay, no. And so I go on and I get in the car, but it imprinted enough on me to where I wrote down, I write down in my journal, prayed, walked, and I saw a small gray cloud in a sky full of big white fluffy clouds. Read Psalm 18. That's what I wrote down. I was tired. I was going to the retreat. It was hot out there. So I wanted to make a mental note. I don't know why I didn't take a picture. I wish I would have taken a picture. I so wish I would have taken a picture because I love to document the way that the Lord speaks. But I didn't, probably because I was hot and heavy. So anyways, I get in the car. I write this down. I drive off. I go to retreat. And the first song starts of the night. Like they do the announcements, the games, all that kind of stuff. And then the first song of the night starts. And it's a song I've never heard before. And that's never stopped me from singing. They've got the lyrics up on the screen. And so I'm just looking at the lyrics and I'm singing along. And all of a sudden, I'm reading and singing lyrics that go, I see a cloud heavy with rain, and it looks like revival is headed our way. It repeats, I see a cloud heavy with rain, and it looks like salvation is headed our way. I see a cloud heavy with rain. It looks like joy is headed our way. It continues on. And at the very, very end, it says, I see a cloud heavy with rain, and it looks like Jesus is headed our way. And so I'm just like caught up in the clouds, like literally like, what? What? Like, you're blowing my mind. Like, that's so neat that, God, he's just like, he loves to show you that he hears you. And to just put these little God winks in the way. It's like, I hear you and I'm speaking. And so I was being encouraged as I was singing the song, but then something else happened. I started to hear another lyric that I was singing, and it said, tell this giant in my face, you're not greater than my faith. Look at my shirt. Faith. Yeah. So tell this giant in my face, you're not greater than my faith. And when I was walking and praying, yes, I was praying about things, but I was staring at the giant in my face. I was staring at the giant in my face as I was praying. And I'm guessing that's where this heaviness came from, is because I was letting the giant take center stage. But when I shifted my focus, I don't know if y'all can see this. When I shifted my focus to what was in the clouds, when I set my eyes on things above, all of a sudden, my faith became bigger than the giant that was in my face. And I was just like, blow me away, Lord. And so tell that giant in my face, you're not greater than my faith. My faith is greater. Well, when I made the video earlier, I did not have that revelation yet. That came as I was driving, but I also had not read Psalm 18 again to see like, oh, does this tie together somehow? Because I wrote that down literally. I don't even remember why I wrote it down. I wrote, prayed, walked. I saw a small gray cloud in the sky full of big white fluffy clouds. Read Psalm 18. That's exactly what I did before I pulled out. And so I just went and got my Bible. And I thought, I'm going to look and see what it says. And so here's Psalm 18. And I highlighted a verse in here. Do you remember what I said? It kept talking about the rain in the cloud. Right? I see a cloud heavy with rain. And so I'm reading Psalm 18, and it's talking about, in my distress, I cried to the Lord. I called to the Lord. I cried to my God for help. From his temple, he heard my voice. My cry came before him into his ears. Verse 9 says, right? He parted the heavens and came down. Dark clouds were under his feet. And I was like, there was a dark cloud, one dark cloud in the sky. And I'm singing a song about the cloud being heavy with rain, and revival's coming my way, and salvation's coming my way, and joy is coming my way, and Jesus is headed our way, right? And then I go back and I read this, and I just think, how awesome is our God? Like, really, how awesome is our God that he would just be like, oh, you want to meet with me while you walk in the park? Okay, let's do that today. Let me encourage your heart. You want to go to this revival and draw near to me? Let's do that. I'll draw near to you. I'll show you that I'm with you, that I go before you. And see, I didn't know I was going to get there and sing a song. I didn't know that Psalm 18 was going to talk about a cloud in the sky, but God did. And he knows how to get my attention because he's been training me over the last 13 years, something like that, to hear his voice, to recognize when he's speaking. No, and it's not like super great revelations that are like, mind-blowing to anybody but me probably. But it strengthens my faith. It draws me closer to his heart. It makes me realize that he truly is worthy, holy, and sovereign, and perfectly in control. And that's why I can have joy in the midst of chaos. That's why when hard things happen, it might shake me up a little bit, but it doesn't shake me to the core. God is good, and he is talking to us. So tell that giant in your face, shift your focus, that he's not greater than your faith. And I pray that you have an amazing day. Amen.